Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans. Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Fleric.
and this is Mac.
And unfortunately, we had a little bit of some scheduling issues, so Jake will not be able to join us on the Midway episode, but the rest of us are here to discuss let's call it a very interesting first week for the Hatsu 2021 basho.
Dumpster fire. That's all this is.
Yeah, this basho is definitely the killer of hype. There was a whole lot of excitement running into this. And like after day one, I think everybody's balloon was deflated.
And it has yet to get reinflated at this point. I'm just keep beating my head into a desk like, what is going on? Are we back in 2020? Seriously, what is this?
Yeah, that's deflated after day one's exactly it. Like, you know, I heard like, oh, Haku is going to be out. This has happened before. We've had good bashos. Kaku comes out. Okay, it's fine. He sometimes are hit or miss anyways. We still have the free Ozeki. That's going to be great storylines. But then on day one, Shodai loses and like I guess Shodai won. He was the one that lost, but that still made me sad. Takakeisha lost. Asanoyama lost. Oh, yeah. It was a sad time.
Yeah, and I would say my balloon has reinflated slightly due to the performance of Daisho. He's been looking dynamite and kind of excited to see how he does the rest of the way. But before we jump into the full results up through day 8 of the tournament, so spoilers through day 8, I just kind of want to talk about all the things that happened with COVID between when we recorded our preview episode and when we are recording this episode. So we had talked about Hakuho had tested positive for COVID, and we had assumed at that time that all of Miyagino stable would be held out of the basho. That is the case. So Hakuho, Enho, Ishiura, Hokuseiho, all are being held out of this basho, along with Wakatakakage and the Arashio stable, who basically everybody in that stable was COVID positive. Some good news on their front. The last people that were being held in the hospital for, not because they were like especially sick and needed to be in the hospital. I think it was just for like containment reasons, but everybody's been released from the hospital from Arashio stable. But then the Japan Sumo Association did PCR tests for everybody in the association. And so that came back with some more test results from some asymptomatic Rikishi. So that included Chiyo Shoma and Chiyo Otori, and 2 lower-ranked Rikishi tested positive in the Kokonoe stable. So that pulled out Chiyo Shoma from the top division, Chiyo Nokuni from the top division, Chiyo Tairyu from the top division, and then Chiyo Otori and
Chiyomaru.
No, I think just Chiyo. Oh, and yes, Chiyomaru from Juryo. And then there was the Tomozuna stable, who there was a lower ranked Rikishi that tested positive there. So no Makuuchi or Juryo Rikishi tested positive, but Kaisei, who is in Tomozuna stable, had to pull out of the basho as well, and he was in Makuuchi. So due to COVID and injuries, we were minus 7 Rikishi in the top division on day 1. 6 people due to COVID, and Kakuryu due to not being in shape at this point.
That's
and
3
then
full ranks. 3 full ranks of missing people.
Yeah, exactly, including the top 2 ranks again. But I mean that's just par for the course at this point.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the Yokozuna at this point. That's like you said, par for the course. Like, all right, what day is it? Like, at this tournament, they're here. No, all right, continue.
Yeah. But even more devastating, there's 9 Rikishi that had to pull out due to COVID in Juryo. And with there only being 28 Rikishi in Juryo, that's almost an entire third of that field had to pull out. So there are only 19 Rikishi in Juryo that are available to fight. So everybody's going to fight almost everybody down there.
Just complete pandemonium.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
A lot of Makushita Rikishi are probably going to get some time.
Oh, definitely, I'm sure.
Or I guess it's, yeah, I guess maybe it works out just like you said. Everyone's going to fight everyone because you're just going to, they might be able to make a round robin with what they have That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have an odd number of Rikishi and Makuuchi, so every day we've been seeing somebody pop up from Juryo to face off. But I guess some good news is nobody's had to pull out due to injury so far, at least in the top 2 divisions. So that's a welcome change from the other tournaments.
No kidding.
So we just started at the level that we end most tournaments at, and hopefully we still end this tournament at that level with nobody having to pull out due to injury. But let's dive into the Yusho race with, I would say, a very surprising leader. And not only is he leading, he's leading by 2 on day frickin' 8. And that's Maegashira 1 Daisho.
Do we have to take him seriously now? I mean, we've made him the butt of a few jokes on the show. And I know we've kind of tossed that back and forth. Like, all right, is he good? Is he not good? He's spurty. I love seeing this guy go, but do we have to take him seriously now?
I think so. You're entirely right, Mac. Before we used to kind of make fun, oh yeah, Daisho. Like who? Who's this person?
Exactly.
Daisho? Yeah, because he just always was kind of in the joy, but just did very, very mediocre. I just pulled up his stats: 7-8, 7-8, 8-7, 8-7. Another 8-7, 7-8. He went a year of going just 7-8 and 8-7 in the joy. Just like he's there, but like he just does so mediocre that he just doesn't like ever do anything of note. But then all of a sudden, in July of last year, he got 11-4, and right now he's starting off with 8-0. It feels like after that year of just kind of mediocre, like he's just kind of finally showing, okay, I know how to do sumo. And he's starting to pull some results. It's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like that year that he spent 8-7 and 7-8ing with, he wasn't doing too great, but he never did bad enough to leave that range. And so he was able to face these Rikishi a lot and get a lot of practice against the top guys in the division. And so it just kind of able to hone his craft. You can see what happens to like a Koto Shoho, who we think has plenty of potential, but this is his first time up in this range, and the dude is the exact opposite of Daisho. He's 0-8.
So I think he's doing fine. He's doing fine.
Max says that having him as his jump in the prediction series, but we'll get to that later. Yeah. But yeah, Daisho doing something that I've never seen a Rikishi do, be it limited time watching sumo wrestling, a little bit over 4.5 years at this point, but Maegashira 1 doing the Sanyaku sweep. His first 7 matches were against all 7 Sanyaku Rikishi, and he beat them all. He beat the Ozeki, which isn't all that impressive this tournament.
All right.
He beat the Sekiwake. He beat the Komosubi. Most of those guys have winning records at this point, a couple of major exceptions, but most of those guys have winning records, and he beat them all fairly easily. I think his hardest win was the one against Kageyaki today.
I know.
Where he pulled out that throw right at the Tawara. That,
he got lucky.
My heart jumped out of my chest.
Right?
Yeah.
It was like, oh no, what's going on? What's that? Kageyaki. No. You stay mediocre. You don't get to do this.
But yeah, I've just been watching Daisho this tournament, and he just seems like the only adult in the room this basho. He looks the best. He has the most powerful sumo out there. Like, he's dictating all of the matches. I looked at his results like prior to today, and like all of his wins are just like Oshidashi, Tsukidashi. There's like one Hataki Komi, and then that crazy throw that he had at the edge today, a Totari arm throw. But everything's just showing he's able to overpower his opponents and push them out on his terms. And having watched him, that's exactly what's going on with him this basho.
And it starts right at the Tachiai. His Tachiais have been phenomenal. He just brings all the force. I keep thinking back to other guys that we've seen do this. We've seen Takekeisho do this. We've seen Takayasu do this. Onosho. Just that blast straight forward into these guys, completely knocking them off balance.
R.I.P. Takanosho.
Well, okay, yeah. R.I.P. Takanosho. That one was due. That one was an audible death.
Yeah. Like you said, Mac, he's been very powerful off the Tachiai this whole basho, but my God, he just destroyed Takanosho on day 7. Just absolutely embarrassed the poor Sekiwake. But this is a unique circumstance, and I kind of wanted to see when's the last time, because we have a Rikshi that's 2 ahead of the field. Like, he could lose tomorrow and still be in the lead with no issue. So I wanted to see when's the last time that happened, and it's the first time since March of 2013 where Rikshi held a 2-win lead after day 8, where Hakuho was leading a pack of 8 Rikshi at 6-2, where Daisho's only leading a pack of 4 Rikshi at 6-2.
Go figure. It's
so then it's always Hakuho.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of curious, like, all right, like, there's not that many people with more than 6 or more wins this basho. When's the last time that there's been this few? So just had to go back a few more years to March of 2019, where we had 2 Rikshi, Hakuho and Asashoryu at 8 wins, and then there was only 2 other Rikshi that had 6 wins, and they were 2 Ozeki at the time, Kaio and one other, I don't remember. And then there's like 12 Rikshi at 5 and 3 behind them. So it's been a while since we've seen a basho with this kind of flow, but never where it's a Maegashira 1 out in front.
Have we ever had just a Maegashira 1 leading at all in the past year?
No, I can't ever think of like a Joy Rikshi, with the exception of Tochi Noshin when he was Maegashira 3 and went 14-1. That's the only time I can think of a Maegashira in the Joy that's kind of dominated like this. And it makes sense that it doesn't happen very often, because they're going up against the very top people. They're guaranteed to face the very top people. But Daisho's already beat everybody that's ranked ahead of him.
Wait a minute, he's already faced his toughest opponents.
We've called this rank the meat grinder before for a good reason. Normally, like, the Maegashira 1 gets like the worst matchups in the beginning in the first week, and then like it's not as bad after that. And his hardest week, he went ahead and just got 8-0. It's insane. It's very, very impressive.
Yeah. So in theory, he has a Zensho Yusho right in front of him.
You're jinxing it. You're jinxing it.
Oh yeah.
I that's why I said in theory, because I don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, he's got like the other Maegashira 1 is Hokuto Fuji, who's not doing good this basho. He's 2-6. It's like,
sorry, Ryan.
It's okay. I've learned to accept that is his fate. But he's got like Takeda Fuji at Maegashira 2, who's not going to inspire any fear in his heart. The other Rikshi that he could face that are like 6-2 are Kiribayama, Meisei, Akiseyama at like Maegashira 7 and below. And so they could be getting just inflated win totals against lower ranked guys, and they're not really performing up to that level. So there's really not any clear people that can knock Daisho off. And I think he is by far the clear favorite at this point.
Mm-hmm. Definitely the favorite. We'll see how it goes. Like, you know, he has a 2-win lead, which is very, very good. But I think back to that one basho with Harumu Fuji and Goedo. Goedo had like a 4-win or something lead.
It was either 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, and he just like lost 4 out of the last 5 matches or something like that.
Yeah, there's still 7 days left.
But
so a lot can still go wrong. But like he's at a really good spot to do well.
Yeah, but the thing with Goedo is his competition kept getting harder and harder as he went through the tournament. Daisho's is just going to be easier and easier as he keeps knocking off the guys ranked around him.
That is true.
And I want to kind of head off people's talks like, well, he's not doing this against the Yokozuna, which is true. But he does have 2 wins over Hakuho and a win over Kakuryu. So it's not like he's never beaten the Yokozuna, and very well could have this tournament as well. But that will be kind of an asterisk against him if he does seal the deal that there were no Yokozuna for him to face.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about some of the guys that are trailing him at 6-2. The only Rikshi in the Sanyaku ranks that is within 2 of the lead is the Ozeki Shodai. He's been looking good for the most part. He's been moving forward. It hasn't been like the clown sumo that used to define Shodai. He's really seemed to kind of settle in, but the ankle injury doesn't really seem to be bothering him too much. But with him being 2 back of Daisho already, Mac, do you think, is he a pretender or a contender to win this Yusho race if Daisho were to stumble along the way?
If Daisho were to stumble along the way, I would still list him as a contender because his sumo has been really good. Not sure what happened today against Mitake Yumi. I watched his match a couple times. It looked like he just got too high, couldn't knock him off balance. He was trying to go for an arm throw, but Mitake Yumi was just able to keep his base and prevent him from getting off balance. But here's the thing going forward with Shodai. He's got a lot of tough matches still to go. He still has to face the rest of the Joy, at least the upper ranks of the Joy. Now, say what you will about that. They're still Ozeki level. I mean, these guys are still good. They've earned this rank for a reason, and he's still fighting to retain his Ozeki rank. He has 2 more to go. I definitely think he will get it, especially with Tamawashi being tomorrow. I think he's got that one in the bag. I say that, knock on wood. I find anything around me that's like for good luck at this point. But I have to say, if Daisho stumbles, I think Shodai is definitely within striking distance.
Yeah, kind of a fun note. You mentioned he lost to Mitake Yumi today. Mitake Yumi is 3-5. Those 3 wins against the 3 Ozeki.
That's what I mean. I'm like, okay, I don't know what happened today. It just didn't look right.
Mitake Yumi's got a grudge against the Ozeki since he can never reach the rank, so he's just going to try to bring them all down to his level. So the next guy that we have at 6-2 is Maegashira 7 Meisei. Fleric, what do you think about Meisei this basho? Do you think if Daisho stumbles, is he somebody that could step up and take the Yusho from him?
I don't see him as a contender for the Yusho, but for someone who can play spoiler, I definitely think so. Because I feel like he's going to be one of the people matched up against Daisho. And I think he's definitely on the hot streak, and he can probably definitely bring some competition against him. But the consistency like needed to win out and still be in the Yusha race, and for Daisho to lose some matches, I just don't see the consistency from Meisei. So I'm going to go with not a contender, but he can definitely play spoiler.
Yeah, just looking at Meisei's record so far, he's beaten everybody that he's faced ranked below him, but the 2 highest ranked guys that he's fought, the 2 Maegashira 5 Rikshi, Okinoumi, and Endo, those are his 2 losses. So it really seems like he's just kind of feasting on the guys around him, and then once he steps up in that skill level, probably not able to hang there, it seems like. Mac, what about Kiri Bayama at Maegashira 8? He's kind of a sneaky 6-2, I think. What do you think about his chances if Daisho were to stumble?
Akin to Meisei, I think he can definitely play the spoiler, but definitely a pretender in my mind, just because of the level of competition that he's been facing. He's been facing a lot of the lower half guys, and he's been doing okay. I mean, he dropped one against Tokushoryu, dropped another one against the twerking Ryuden, although we haven't seen much twerking from Ryuden in this tournament. But looking at his other wins, well, yeah, we've seen a bit. That is true. But looking at his other wins, they haven't been bad. He hasn't done terrible sumo, and we know that, at least for the most part, Kiri Bayama can hang with the guys in the upper levels. But to be a contender for this one, I don't think it's there. Definitely a spoiler, though.
All right, and then the last guy that we have at 6-2, just Akise. What? So
no, what?
Maegashira 16, Akiseyama, 35-year-old, the guy who looks like he's gonna fall over flat on his face as part of like his pre-match routine. Like he always looks like he's losing his balance in his pre-match routine. He got off to a blistering hot start of 6-0 somehow with that body type. He has since dropped his next 2 matches, and so because of that, I think Akiseyama might hit a wall, and there might be a lot of losses coming his way very soon, because his match against Meisei today, he got absolutely obliterated by Meisei.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah. Meisei got underneath of him at the Tachiai, got him lifted up, and then Akiseyama could do nothing as Meisei just bowled him out of the ring. And I think as Akiseyama faces tougher and tougher competition, if his record kind of stays in this area where he's going to be matched up against people with better records, I think he's definitely just going to keep losing. I don't see any way that Akiseyama takes any part in the Yusho race or spoiling anybody's time. So I see a big week 2 fade from Akiseyama.
Yes.
With him being my chump, I dearly, dearly hope so.
Yeah, that's been the interesting thing. Like I I had no intention of cheering for Akiseyama at any point in this basho, but when he started off like 3-0 and just like Fleric was getting 0 points in the prediction series because of him, I was just like, okay, Akiseyama, keep pushing this as far as you can.
You can do it.
I will unironically cheer for you for a little while.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that in his like post interviews, even he was like saying like, I have no idea how I've been winning.
the Tokushoryu effect, like, how the hell am I doing this?
Yeah, I just kind of surprised by it. Yeah, it's really impressive, but like you say, he lost the last two, so it sounds like he hit a wall. We'll see.
No, that was Meisei.
Yeah.
A wall that is Meisei.
Yeah. So yeah, those are pretty much the only people that we can realistically expect to win the Yusho this time. Maegashira won Daisho, Ozeki Shodai, and then 3 other guys ranked Maegashira 7 and below. That is the state of sumo wrestling in 2021. But we do have 12 Rikishi that are 3 back from the lead at 5 and 3. I don't think anybody can realistically expect them to win the Yusho, but it does include Ozeki Asanoyama, Sekiwake, Terunofuji, and Takanosho, and Komusubi Takayasu. Let's talk about Asanoyama and Terunofuji a little bit, because I think both of these guys are a little underwhelming with their sumo, in my opinion. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. Moments of brilliance, but then some moments of not brilliance, especially Asanoyama. Some very quick losses.
Did we lose Ryan?
We might have.
No, I'm here. Sorry. I thought I had lost you guys because it sounded like Mac was about to say something.
No, I was just it's like, no, just going along with what Fleric was saying, just being like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. I don't like this. They should be way better than they are, but they're not.
Yeah, especially like Asanoyama. I feel like he's not completely back from his injury yet. Like, he lost on day 1 to Daisho, and we're like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense now. Daisho's a Mack truck, and he lost to Mitakeyumi. And it's not that he lost to Mitakeyumi, it's how he lost to Mitakeyumi. That was just complete domination by Mitakeyumi on day 3. I think that's probably the biggest surprise of his results so far. And he's picked up some other wins. He hasn't looked the greatest or as dominant as we would like to see him. But Terunofuji, he looks utterly helpless against people that can charge right into him. Like Onosho on day 2 charged right into the chest of Terunofuji and was able to knock him out immediately. Takayasu is another guy that can charge right into you at the beginning, was able to get a Hitaki Komi on Terunofuji. And then Daisho on day 6. I mean, we know what Daisho can do. He charged right into you with that Tsupari attack, and Terunofuji wasn't able to do anything about that. If he can get into a belt battle with somebody, which he's been able to do for the most part, he'll win that match. But if he doesn't seem like he has any power or moves to do anything, if he can't get to your belt at this point, which really makes me think that knee is bothering him quite a bit, because he's definitely not showing the same level of sumo he was in November.
Yeah, it's interesting with them. I think 5 and 3 is still a good place for him. It's still a very good result, especially with a lot of people also kind of faltering up at the top. If he has a strong finish, he still can have a close to double digit and continue his Ozeki run. Does he have a possibility of actually hitting that if he wins out, or is he kind of?
I don't think so. I think since this would only be his second basho in the Sanyaku ranks, he had that 8. He had an 8 and 7 at Maegashira 1, so I really think he needed to do like a 14-1, 13-2 Yusho to overcome an 8 and 7 record from out of the Sanyaku ranks to get Ozeki this time. So I think he keeps the Ozeki run going with a more realistic shot at it coming up in March. But he needed an outstanding performance this time to get it, I think, because they weren't all coming in the Sanyaku ranks, because there was an 8 and 7 in there. So I think with 3 losses already and out of the Yusho race, I just don't see that happening for him. Even if he wins out, I don't think he.
Yeah, I think that sounds correct. He just kind of faltered a little bit too much, unfortunately. But like there's just a little bit of confidence I get when I watch him sumo. Like you say, whenever he gets it's kind of like old school Tochinoshin. Whenever he got onto the belt, you just kind of like, oh yeah, the match is over. Like there's might as well end it right now. It's kind of a very similar thing with Terra Fuji. There's just some confidence. People have been able to take him down, like you say, with the charging, but it's I don't know. I still think he can do very well. I think he's kind of a very good second week to close out the basho.
I mean, yeah, it's not like once he starts facing the Sanyaku Rikshi, there's too many people he needs to worry about. I mean, Asanoyama's not really scaring anybody at this point. I'm not afraid of Mitaki Yumi or anybody like that. So we'll see how it goes. But I think it's finally we address the elephant in the room.
The giant hamster.
the giant hamster, the bowling ball. Takakeisho, what you doing?
Honey baby, what's going on?
So he's 2-6, and I'm really starting to feel in my gut he might not get promoted to Yokozuna after this tournament.
Maybe.
A hot take from Ryan. Well done.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. It'll be a tough decision for the Yokozuna Deliberations Council.
Yeah. If he goes like 31-6 from here on out.
Yeah.
He just asks for another match each day. He's just like, just give me another match.
Just one more.
I want that rope.
But yeah, he's kind of the exact opposite of Daisho, where Daisho is hitting his mark at the Tachiai, very powerful, blowing people up and able to dictate the match. That's what Takakeisho did in November when he won his Yusho. He is able to generate no power. He's not moving anybody. Everybody's just able to resist like his initial couple of thrusts. And then once Takakeisho it's going to sound dirty, but after Takakeisho has thrust twice, he just runs out of energy, and then he just falls limply to the floor.
No, but accurate. Dirty, but accurate.
Yeah, he just hasn't looked the same. There's something off about him. Not sure what it is. It's shame. It's part of that deflating after the first day, and then definitely like hopes got completely dashed after he just kept on losing and losing and losing. So it's very sad. Yeah, hopefully next basho he wins another Yusho and we have another Suna run.
Renews our faith.
Yeah, going on. But yeah, it's a shame.
He started off 0-4. Yeah. So I wonder if it's the pressure that's got to him. Because he hasn't pulled out of the tournament at this point. And I mean, we haven't heard about any injuries that might be bothering him. I mean, that would be my guess, is that there's something internally wrong, like some sort of injury. I mean, he doesn't look healthy. No. Like, I mean, that's saying something. That's saying something for a sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, it's him and Aki Seyama. I'm like, they don't look good. And so he somehow in September and November, he was kind of able to fight through just like his general, like, that boy ain't doing good, but that might have finally caught up to him, all that extra weight that he put on. Maybe that's hampering him, just like all the extra weight he's put on over the past few months is really starting to get to him. I don't know what it is. It's very baffling.
All that holiday food and like extra cupcakes. Yeah, there's so many things that could definitely happen. You know, it's going into the holidays. I know cases are jumping up a lot in Japan as well. So maybe that affected his training, because I know he's living at home with the wife. So traveling to the gym, maybe he's doing that a little bit less. It's hard to say exactly what, but yeah, he's just not looking good, unfortunately.
Yeah. So let's talk about anybody else people want to talk about. So we've talked about the contenders in this tournament. So there's just a couple other guys we want to hit on. And I want to talk a little bit about Hoshoryu. Dude started off 0-5. He got me good and scared, but he's since rattled off 3 in a row, and he's just looking better. Like he's weird to me, because like he starts all of his matches with like a little bit of pushing and thrusting, even though like I feel like once he gets on the belt, he's very good there. He knows how to get the throws. He can work his legs in to help him with those throws, but he never starts off the match going for that. And I'm really curious as to why that is. But he's finally been able to land a grip on the belt the past few days, and he's been able to rack up some wins. So I'm hoping he can have a strong second week, because he's at Maegashira 14, and that 0-5 start made me think, oh no, he's going back down to Juryo. But hopefully he can continue this turnaround and able to stay in Makuuchi for the next tournament.
Yeah, he has the Mongolian craftiness on the belt, of where he just has all the bag of tricks he can pull out and just kind of get people thrown to the ground.
Yeah,
it's really cool to see.
And
I agree. Hopefully
There's definitely times where I see him mid-match where he's like really concentrating on like getting the belt or just like there's some anger in his eyes. I'm like, I could see the family resemblance to Asa Shoryu there. Like
rage, nothing but rage.
You could see the family resemblance to Asa Shoryu in those moments.
Just need to put on a bunch of weight.
Yeah, definitely need to do that.
You'll go out partying a whole lot and he'll be good to go.
What about you, Mac or Flair? Are there any other guys you wanted to point out how they're doing so far this basho?
I would say for one, at Midori Fuji, well done, young man. I was for being a Juryo up-and-comer from the last tournament. I mean, normally when they get a little bit higher, you kind of expect them to start to falter, but he's 5-3. And he's definitely made the Katsukashi a lot more prevalent, because I think we all had to look that one up at one point and go, what the hell is this Kimarite going on here? But, oh, okay, well, I guess it is an official Kimarite, but we hardly ever see it. But no, he's making it a mainstay.
Yeah, he's got 2 wins by Katsukashi so far this tournament.
Which is 2 more than
we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about that on our preview episode. Like, the overall usage rate for the Katsukashi is like 0.5% or something like that. But for Midori Fuji, it's like 24% he wins by the Katsukashi. It's really crazy how he's been able to make such a rare Kimarite like his signature move.
Yeah, he's a fun one to watch. He definitely has like that cool little Kimarite, and like he can make like all of his matches. He always seems to kind of be in it and have a lot of power from his small frame. So I've been really enjoying watching him. He's been great.
Yeah. Anybody else caught your eye so far, Fleric?
I was gonna bring up your boy Hokuto Fuji in his match against Takakeisho. Holy, it was an ugly match, but it was a beautifully ugly match. Like, yeah, I think that was one of the better Oshi matches I've seen. Well, I would say of the year, because that's a very low bar to say. But even not even count that, like all of last year, in the last few years, it was a very good match. Lots of thrusting and pulling and just recovering on the edge. Somehow, like, blood gets everywhere, and it was a good match.
Yoshikaze and Shohozan flashbacks. You're right, Fleric.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Hokuto Fuji was definitely wearing the crimson mask after that. His nose got busted up at some point. Very scary look there. But Fleric, I wanted to point out something that I noticed with Toku Shoryu this basho. So he is not doing great. He's 2-6 this tournament. But one of your favorite things, like, I know you like to watch the trends of how people do against other Rikishi. So on day 6, he matched up against Endo, who he was 0-10 against Endo in his career. And Endo improved that mark to 0-11. So there's something that Endo has over Toku Shoryu.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that one that came up. Yeah, it's Endo still has him figured out. That's always kind of fun to see. Poor Toku Shoryu. Luckily, he has that Yusho to always fall back on to remember.
Yeah, that does help.
Endo may be able to beat him in every single match, but Endo, so far, will never be able to point to a Yusho win.
Exactly.
But kind of the opposite end of things for Toku Shoryu. Coming into today's match against Tobizaru, he was 6-0 against Tobizaru. But Tobizaru was able to beat Toku Shoryu today to get his first ever win against the Yusho winner, Toku Shoryu.
Let it not be said you can beat me 7 times in a row. Looking back at records, 7 times in a row.
Hey, that might be the first win Tobizaru's ever had against a Yusho winner. I'd have to go back and see how he did in November. No, did he beat Takakeisho? I think he beat Takakeisho, didn't he?
Let me look.
Look, that's something definitely something to brag about on Twitter. Hey, I'd be a Yusho winner today.
Yeah,
I'd allow it. It'd be fun.
Let's see, Takakeisho versus Tobizaru beat Takakeisho in November. So that was one of Takakeisho's 2 losses in November. That's right. So Tobizaru, he
has 2 things to brag about.
Yeah. He may only have a 3-5 record, but he did beat a Yusho winner this tournament. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's take a quick stop down look at what's happening in Juryo and
the mess that is Juryo.
Well, it's a little bit less of a mess than it was last time, where we had a 10-5 guy win the Yusho. We got Tsurugisho leading at 8-0. And it's actually very similar Juryo Yusho race as it is to a Makuuchi Yusho race, which is not a compliment to Makuuchi. Where we've got Tsurugisho at 8 wins, and he is 2 ahead of a pack of 3 Rikishi at 6 wins. Hide no Umi, Daisho Maru, and Ura is hanging in at 6 and 2. So Ura looks like he should be hopping up the Bansuke a little bit more, get ever closer to returning to Makuuchi. A couple of younger guys we want to keep our eye on that are in Juryo. Oho, the former Naya, grandson of Taiho, 3-5, so a little bit of a rough start for him, but not terrible. He could turn it around and hopefully get just like a 7-8 or 6-9 and be able to stay in Juryo. But it's good to get that experience his first time there. Toha Kuryu is a guy that we've brought up a couple of times on this podcast, not by that name. He is the former Shiraishi who got a Sandanme Tsuke Dashi and was able to begin his career in Sandanme. So he's made his Juryo debut, and he is 4-4 so far. Mac, how's your boy Ryuko doing so far?
Well, he's at the bottom of the Juryo list, 3-5, not setting the world on fire, but like oh, he can turn it around. He'll be okay. I hope, please.
Somebody that needs to turn it around real quick, or they're going to be visiting Makushita or retirement very soon, is Ikioi, who's down at Juryo 13. Doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle room, and he's at 3-5. So we may be seeing the last tournament of Ikioi. I don't know if he intends to fight on if he goes down to Makushita, but we'll see. Hopefully he can keep fighting and turn it around a little bit and stay in Juryo and maybe make one last run at Makuuchi. But I think with that, we will wrap up this first part of the podcast. We'll take a quick break. We should have a few words from Jake that he'll be able to share with us over this break, and then we'll get back. We'll hit the Gsb Belt, let everybody know how we're doing in the Champ Chump series, and wrap up the podcast.
Hey guys, it's Jake. Sorry I couldn't be there for the Midway, but I know with the three of you guys working together, you probably won't fail. But anyways, I thought I'd call in and give my answers to the lightning round so that I could at least be with you guys for that. So if I remember the correct order of questions, my answers are Takakeisho, Daisho, Akiseyama versus Gravity, Fleric versus Poetry, Shodai, and Takayasu stuck in a barrel of industrial lubricant. I think I got that right, but either way, I hope you guys have a good time, and I will be back with you again for the recap.
We are back, and let's hit on the Gsb Belt, which has been very, very tumultuous this basho. So it started with Ichinojo at Maegashira 12 this tournament, and on day 3, he lost to Aoyama. So Aoyama regained the Gsb Belt, his second reign, and
very prestigious.
Yeah, he's one of few 2-time winners of the belt, so he's in rare air. But unfortunately, he was unable to defend his title as he lost on day 4 to Teretsuyoshi, who in turn lost on day 5 to Koto Nowaka, who in turn lost on day 7 to Midori Fuji, who in turn lost on day 8 to Shima no Umi.
Wow.
So very, very tumultuous run for the Gsb Belt. Currently sitting with Shima no Umi, and if we're going on the current pattern, it will be on somebody else's belt on day 9.
Yes.
But it has moved up in the ranks, 2 ranks from Maegashira 12 to Maegashira 10 over the course of this basho so far. So let's hit on our Champ Chump series, which is in about just as much disarray as the whole basho and our Gsb Belt are, because Mac is winning. He has 11 points. I'm in second place with 10. But, Mac, you have Takakeisho as your champ. How are you winning?
I know. It's because my chumperful chump, Koto Shoho, has been my complete anchor, my rock, and carrying everything. He has gone 0-8 and lost to Takara Fuji, which has given me a bonus point. I think this is the first time in our Champ Chump series where we've had an 0-8 with a bonus this early in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good pick by you. That was a good pick by you, Matt.
Thank you.
I like your Chumperly Chump. That's a new one.
Yes. Now, my Champerly Champ, Takikeisho, is extremely lackluster at this point.
Ooh, something I forgot to bring up earlier with Takikeisho. Do we think if he hits the 8-loss portion, do we all agree he's going to hit 8 losses this tournament?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Do you think he pulls out after he hits that 8th loss, or do you think he sticks around to finish out the basho, even though we know he's going to be Kadoban next time around?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like I feel like if he was going to pull out, he can pull out now and like say like, oh, I injured myself. Give me, my elbow has stopped working. I need 2 weeks or something like that. So I don't think so. I actually will give him credit for that. He seems to be kind of sticking it out and trying to get as many wins as he can. So I do
appreciate that he didn't like pull out immediately after his 0-4 start. Like, if he's not injured, yeah, you got to stick it in and take your lumps, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So second place Champ Chump, we have me. I'm the only guy that has really done okay with both picks. I've got Terano Fuji as my champ and Takano Fuji as my chump. One is 5-3, the other's 4-4, so they're both fairly mediocre. But at least I'm not Fleric, who has Asanoyama as his champ. 5-3, not bad. But Akiseyama as your chump.
Ooh.
Ugh. I sure messed up on that one.
6-2 for your chump.
I have no idea what's going on there. It's it's very, very sad, but I will say is I think I'm like 2 points off the lead, so I'm a very similar position to Shodai.
You're 4 points. You're 4 points off the lead, 2 points off of third place. It's all very bunched up right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's be real. Not getting glass is truly winning.
Yes.
So,
especially with this punishment, the Shakespearean epitaph.
I don't know that any of us have the patience. No, I'll give Mac. I think if Mac could do it, he could do it justice. But I think Fleric and I absolutely dread this one because I don't think we can do nearly as well as what Jake did the last time this punishment was drawn.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, this will be complete suffering. Oh my goodness. I'll have to actually look up how to do Shakespeare sonnets, and I'm already falling asleep.
I recommend do The Tempest. The Tempest is a lot of fun.
Oh
yeah,
my
plan is if I do lose, I'm just going to copy like something from Romeo and Juliet and then just throw in sumo words every once in a while. I've got a baby. I ain't got time to learn how to write Shakespeare.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right, so yeah, that's how we're doing with our champ and chumps. Overall, very poorly. Because even Jake is in third place. He's got Shodai as his champ, not bad. He's got Takanosho as his chump, who is 5-3. So nobody's really doing all that great with both of their picks. All right, so let's go to our lightning round, which will be even more lightning than ever with just 3 guys here. But Fleric, who has impressed you the most so far? I'm pretty sure you can answer for all 3 of us.
Oh, okay. I will throw out Daisho. Definitely. 8-0 start. Like swept Sanyaku. Hell yeah. You're doing pretty good.
There's not even anybody else that can contend for that, really. Maybe you could say Akiseyama at 6-2 is like, yeah, I didn't expect that from him, so he's impressed me. But, yeah. And Matt.
Yeah, from result wise, but yeah. But there have been some couple matches here and there that have been really impressive as well.
Mac, I think you can answer for the whole group here, too. Who has disappointed you the most so far?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say Takikeisho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You could do better than this.
Yeah, I almost want to throw like Asanoyama and Terano Fuji in there because they have 5-3 records, but their sumo is not like top tier at all right now.
No.
Yeah, they're definitely rallying. Like they're like what, 3 off the pace? And like I said, there was Guedo who bottled like a 4 or maybe 2 or 3 lead or so. So they're still in it. So which is nice. But 2-6 is kind of
a little hard to come back from that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's tough.
The favorite match of the basho so far, there's been a couple of good ones, but I've got to say that my favorite one was Koto Shoho versus Tamawashi on day 3. It was a good back and forth battle, but the thing that I just remember the most is like at the very end, Tamawashi just tossing Koto Shoho to the side like a used tissue.
A full ring Uwata Hineri, just like, get out of here.
What about you, Flarik? What's been your favorite match so far?
I've already mentioned it already, but the Hokuto Fuji versus Takakeisho was just a fantastic match. I thoroughly enjoyed the back and forth flow of it, of just the natural like pushing and pulling that is Oishi Sumo, and it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
What about you, Mac?
No, you already hit mine. Tamawashi versus Koto Shoho was just we see a lot of the Kimarite usually at the ring, or we see like the pull downs or the slap downs, but very rarely do we get a full ring throwing Kimarite where the opponent, I mean, the closest one I can think of is when they're on, you get a good shove at the very end, whether it's, Endo versus Hakuho or any of the really good Oshizumo guys. But in this case, Tamawashi just hurling another guy was just beautiful.
Yep. And I know Jake's favorite match of the basho so far was that Hoshoryu versus Kotoeko match that we had on day 7. That was another very entertaining matchup. So, Flarik, which matchup are you excited the most about this time?
Oh, that's a very good question. What matchup am I excited about? Come back to me while I'm looking at the Banzuke and trying to put names together.
What about you, Mac?
At this point, it's Takakeisho et al. Because at this point, he is desperately fighting for his life. Kadoban is upon him at this point, unless he can turn it around.
Yeah, I've got to say, whoever Daisho is facing on day 13 or 14, because I think that is going to be the day where he is wrapping up the tournament. I think he's just going to be able to maintain.
You have the faith.
I mean, he's looked so good so far, and there's nobody left for him to face that would scare me. So I think he drops 1, maybe 2, but I also think the people that are chasing him, I'm not very impressed by any of them either. So I also think they drop 1 or 2, and we end up with like a 13-2 Daisho Yusho, and like the next closest people are like 11-4. So he still wraps it up on day 13, 14. So I think whoever he faces that day to wrap it up, I think we're going to have a very, very boring day 15 this tournament.
I was looking through and I saw Daisho, who would be a fun match of the people he has left to play, and then I saw Onosho, who is also like a ball of like Tachi-ai energy. So I think that would be kind of a fun matchup.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. He's not somebody we've brought up, but he's doing very good himself, being in the Joy at Maegashira 3, picking up a 5-3 record. He's got some good wins in there. Onosho does over Takayasu, Terunofuji, Takanosho, Takakeisho. Borderline if that's a good win at this point, this basho. But
let's put an asterisk by that one.
At least he didn't lose to Takakeisho. Let's just put it that way.
That is true.
All right, so I've already spoiled my prediction. I think Daisho's going to win it. What about you, Mac? Who do you think wins it all?
At this point, being that he's beaten all of his toughest opponents, he's got lower rankers, not saying he's not going to drop one because he still might, but just going off of the sheer ranks, Daisho.
Oh, man. You got to say he's the favorite Daisho, but I will kind of mention Shodai. Actually, I'll put my money behind Shodai. Okay.
Flair,
I know this is a weird day, I know. But Shodai has been looking pretty good, and I think Daisho, he kind of got a lucky win. I felt at the end today. I think there's probably gonna be a couple more of those. While Shodai has been just kind of looking solid, so I'm gonna put behind Shodai. I think he's gonna be a lot more consistent in the back half than Daisho.
So are you inching toward the no longer impartial to maybe little? Are you starting to like Shodai?
Oh no! Still fiercely neutral about the guy.
Oh, okay.
Don't hate or like the guy. And if we go with my predictions just like a week ago, he's definitely gonna somehow fall out of Ozeki. Oh, how wrong I was there. But we'll see. The year is long. We'll see.
To Flarik's point, in Aki when Shodai won the Yusho. That's amazing that's still something we can say. Shodai won a Yusho. He started off that basho 6-2, and then he went 7-0 the second week to finish 13-2. So if Daisho just hits a couple stumbling blocks and Shodai is able to run through the almost entirety of the Sanyaku ranks, then it's a possibility. So yeah, if I were going to say anybody other than Daisho, I would say Shodai. But I think Shodai still has to go up against Asanoyama, Terano Fuji. I think he drops one of those at least. I think it's just Daisho. If you also think that Daisho is going to win this Yusho, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media. Yeah, you can find us on social media. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Are you okay,
Check out our
Fleric?
blog at Grand. No, you
went really robot,
really
Ryan.
Robot there at the end there, Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, was that me?
I was trying to be a consummate. Trying to be a consummate podcast professional and just go with the flow. But you have called it out. So that is what's going on.
I'll pick it up after the blog. Our blog is Grand Sumo Breakdown at WordPress.com, and if you will have any questions, comments, corrections, just want to reach out to us, we're lonely. Tell us how terrible Takakeisho is doing, or sing the praises of the Chumperful Chump, Koto Shoho. Drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com, or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
All right, so we've
Chumperful Chump.
My Chumperful Chump.
We've got another week of sumo, and then we will talk to you guys sometime, probably like Wednesday, Thursday, to recap what happened in the second week of the Hatsu basho. So until then, we will see you later, and hopefully we will have Jake back at that point.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
And keep moving forward.